Caitlin Clark has become the lightning rod of the WNBA, and the league's inability to protect her is unraveling its leadership from the inside out. The most marketable player in the league, bringing in record-breaking ratings and ticket sales, has been repeatedly targeted on the court and trashed off it. And the one person responsible for protecting her image and safety, Commissioner Cathy Engelbert, has gone silent when it mattered most. This silence triggered a domino effect. Officiating Collier, already critical of the league's disconnect with players.
If you're here for the real story and not the filtered version, subscribe. And if you're sticking around for the next meltdown, you better definitely subscribe.
Called out leadership for its failure to address growing safety concerns and off-court toxicity. Then Lexi Hull backed her up. Then Sophie Cunningham broke the dam. In one of the most direct attacks on a sitting commissioner in league history, she called Engelbert the most delusional leader the WNBA's ever had, and she didn't walk it back. The fallout has been explosive. What could have been an isolated moment of venting turned into a collective mutiny. Hull, Collier, Cunningham, three very different players, all saying the same thing. This league is being run like a brand, not a sport. And Engelbert is more concerned with sponsor relations than athlete welfare. The officiating crisis, the lack of accountability, the injuries, none of it's being handled. It's all being ignored. And the timing couldn't be worse. Injuries are up league-wide. Physical play is escalating. Referees are making headlines for the wrong reasons. And while all of that's happening, the players are taking matters into their own hands, calling out leadership in interviews, pressers, and on social media. Cunningham's comments may have been blunt, but they were also accurate. Engelbert isn't just unpopular now, she's isolated. With Adam Silver watching from the NBA's executive suite, the tension has moved beyond internal politics. Silver has oversight, and if he sees Engelbert losing control of the locker room and the media narrative, there's every reason to believe her job is on the line, especially with rival leagues circling and investor confidence starting to slip. The WNBA was supposed to be entering a golden era. Caitlin Clark brought the spotlight. The players brought the talent. The fans showed up. But the league's leadership has failed to capitalize. And worse, they've alienated their most valuable assets. Sophie Cunningham said the quiet part out loud. And now the clock is ticking on Engelbert's future. The question isn't whether change is coming. It's whether Cathy Engelbert survives it. Sophie Cunningham did what most professional athletes never dare to do. She went straight for the top and didn't hold back. In a moment that stunned fans and insiders alike, she publicly called WNBA Commissioner Cathy Engelbert the most delusional leader this league has ever seen. Not subtle, not careful, just scorched earth. And now, there's talk that Sophie could face consequences, maybe even be shown the door, for saying what so many have been whispering behind the scenes. This isn't a one-off meltdown. It's not a case of a frustrated player having a bad day. This was a deliberate, calculated break in protocol, and one that's clearly resonated. Because Sophie's words weren't just hers. They echoed the rising frustration from inside locker rooms, front offices, and across social media timelines. And her boldness cracked open a door that Cathy Engelbert and WNBA leadership would rather stay firmly shut. Because here's the truth. Sophie isn't the first to speak up. She's just the loudest so far. Lexi Hull stepped in and backed her. Sophie Collier has been vocal about similar issues for months. This isn't just one player speaking out. It's a chorus growing louder by the day. They're not out here throwing tantrums. They're demanding real change. So what sparked the fire? Where did this all go off the rails? Let's start with officiating. It's been a consistent disaster. Missed calls, dangerous plays going unpunished, inconsistency from game to game. Players are getting knocked around, and in some cases, seriously hurt. And the referees? Largely unaccountable. Instead of improving transparency or implementing oversight, the league hands out fines to the people pointing it out. It's backwards. And Cathy Engelbert's handling of it all? Not great. Her public stance has been to downplay it, dismiss concerns, focus on the league's growth metrics and new sponsorships. But on the court, the product is suffering. Fans are watching in real time as the league mismanages not just the officiating, but the very players driving the league's momentum. Caitlin Clark, for example, has become a symbol of both growth and neglect. She's undeniably a massive draw. Whether you love her, hate her, or couldn't care less about college ball, Caitlin Clark is good for business. She's bringing in ratings, merchandise sales, and national attention. And how has the league handled that? Poorly. She's getting targeted physically and verbally, and there's been little to no action taken to protect her. It's not about special treatment. It's about basic safety and fairness. But instead of addressing that, Engelbert appears to be minimizing Clark's influence altogether, as if acknowledging her impact would somehow diminish the league's own credibility. That kind of pride is not just counterproductive, it's reckless. It's also offensive to players who know how much this moment matters. Players like Sophie, Lexi, and Nafisa aren't out here begging for drama. They're asking for the league to take itself seriously, to protect its players, enforce its rules, and stop acting like criticism is a threat. Because this league, it's teetering on a dangerous edge. Behind the scenes, things are tense. Fines have been handed out. Public statements have been sanitized. And the leadership seems to think that staying silent will somehow let this blow over. But it won't. Not this time. This isn't a small controversy. It's a credibility crisis. The trust between players and leadership is eroding. Players are risking their bodies and reputations every night. They want to believe in the league. They want to believe it's growing for the right reasons. But when the people in charge ignore safety issues, silence criticism, and dismiss star players, what message are they supposed to take away? Cathy Engelbert was brought in to lead the WNBA into a new era. And yes, she's landed big-time sponsorships and media deals. That part of the job, she's nailed. But running a sports league isn't just about corporate partnerships. It's about leadership. It's about culture. And right now, the culture is fractured. This growing unrest is more than just a few social media posts. It's a sign of something deeper, a breaking point. The kind of internal revolt that could shatter the foundation if it isn't taken seriously. And let's not ignore the outside pressures either. Rival leagues are watching this unfold, licking their chops. The NBA is watching too, and not in a good way. If this chaos keeps building, there's a real chance Engelbert won't survive the fallout. Because when you lose your players, you lose everything. The most dangerous part? The league's current strategy appears to be nothing. No public reckoning. No acknowledgement of the complaints. Just business as usual. Fines, silence, and PR spin. It's tone-deaf. It's arrogant. And it's exactly what Sophie Cunningham was talking about. The issue isn't just officiating. It's leadership. The players don't feel heard. They don't feel protected. They don't even feel respected. And now, they're speaking up in ways we haven't seen before. This isn't petty drama. This is a power shift. And if Engelbert keeps treating this like noise instead of a legitimate uprising, she's going to find herself on the wrong side of history. Because what we're seeing now is more than just complaints. It's a player-driven movement for accountability. A movement that's no longer afraid to say, enough. If you're looking at this and still wondering whether Sophie went too far, you're asking the wrong question. The better question is, why did it take this long for someone to say it out loud? Because when you look at the pattern, it's clear Engelbert has lost the locker room. And once that happens, it's only a matter of time before the rest unravels. The league may try to punish Sophie Cunningham for speaking out. But make no mistake, she's not the problem. She's the symptom of a league that's failed to confront its own issues. And punishing the messenger won't erase the message. The players are uniting. The fans are watching. And the league is being tested in a way it never has before. If leadership doesn't wake up soon, this won't just be a controversy. It'll be the beginning of a collapse. So here's the question now. Will Cathy Engelbert finally step up and lead? Or will she continue to dismiss the very voices keeping this league alive? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Should Sophie Cunningham be punished or praised for speaking up? And is the WNBA at risk of losing everything it's worked so hard to build? Make sure to like, subscribe, and hit that bell so you don't miss a second of this story. Because the players are speaking louder than ever, and we're not looking away. At this point, the real question isn't if change is coming to the WNBA, it's how messy it's going to get before it finally arrives. Because what started as a few frustrated voices is now shaping up to be the biggest internal revolt in league history. Let's be honest, this isn't some rogue athlete mouthing off for attention. Sophie Cunningham didn't go viral because she said something outrageous. She went viral because she said something true. Something raw. Something that cut through all the press releases and sponsor logos and hit a nerve. Calling Cathy Engelbert the most delusional leader the league has ever seen. That's not a casual insult. That's a full-on indictment. It's a public declaration that players no longer trust the person steering the ship. And when multiple players, coaches, and fans start aligning around the same criticisms, officiating issues, neglect of player safety, tone-deaf PR decisions, you're not dealing with drama. You're looking at a leadership crisis, one that could cost the league everything it's been trying to build. Let's rewind for a second. Cathy Engelbert came into this role as the WNBA's first commissioner back in 2019. She was supposed to be the grown-up in the room, the corporate-savvy exec who could bring in big money and take the league to the next level. And to be fair, she's done that. The WNBA sponsorships and broadcast deals have grown, and teams are more financially stable than they were a decade ago. But where she's failing, spectacularly, is in connecting with the people who are the league, the players, because this isn't a league of logos. It's not a league of board meetings and synergy slides. It's a league built on athletes who fought tooth and nail for relevance in a world that still underestimates them. And when those athletes say, "We don't feel safe on the court," that's not a PR problem. That's a leadership emergency. When Caitlin Clark gets targeted game after game, shoved, elbowed, fouled, and the refs do nothing, and the league says nothing, it sends a message. And that message isn't subtle. You're on your own. It's not just Clark either. Every player sees what's happening. Whether they're rookies or vets, they all know what it means when the league refuses to act. It means the people in charge care more about optics than outcomes. It means star power only matters when it fits a certain narrative. It means that unless you play by the league's unspoken rules of silence and obedience, you're expendable. And the players are done pretending. Lexi Hull, Nafisa Collier, Kirsten Bell. This is no longer a coincidence. This is a pattern. And Sophie's viral moment wasn't a meltdown. It was a megaphone. Because here's the part no one in the WNBA's front office wants to admit. This league needs its players more than its players need this league. These athletes are the product. They're the entertainment. They're the story. Without them, all that sponsorship money, all the growth projections, all the media hype, it vanishes. So when they start walking, or worse, when they stop trusting you, the clock starts ticking. The WNBA is a crossroads. It can either double down on silencing dissent and punishing those who speak out, or it can finally confront the rot that's been allowed to fester behind the scenes. Because the longer leadership pretends these criticisms are just noise, the more dangerous this gets. And let's talk about fan perception. The fans aren't stupid. They're watching these games. They see the missed calls. They hear the post-game interviews. They watch players take brutal hits with no flagrant fouls, no reviews, nothing. And they're not buying the sanitized narratives anymore. They're logging on. They're clipping the plays. They're making a trend. The WNBA can't afford to lose their trust. Not now. Not after finally breaking into the mainstream conversation. Because let's face it, if the WNBA was already in a fragile place, Caitlin Clark blew the doors off. Love her or hate her, she's brought a surge of attention that the league hasn't seen in maybe ever. But instead of embracing it, protecting it, using it to elevate the entire league, the leadership has mishandled it at every turn. Engelbert's dismissive attitude toward Clark's influence isn't humility. It's short-sightedness. If anything, it signals an unwillingness to evolve, to adapt, to understand where the game is going. And now, players are being forced to choose between staying silent or speaking up and risking everything. Let's be crystal clear. Sophie Cunningham may face suspension. She may face fines. She may even be cut if the league really wants to send a message. But if they think that will scare the rest into silence, they're delusional. Because the players aren't isolated anymore. They're connected. They're supporting each other. They're retweeting, reposting, commenting. The era of quiet frustration is over. We're watching a new WNBA emerge, one led not by press conferences or sponsorship deals, but by the players themselves. And the real irony? This kind of player unity? It should be celebrated. It's powerful. It's the future. But instead, the league treats it like a threat. So what now? The NBA is watching. Rival leagues like Unrivaled are definitely watching. Sponsors are quietly calculating the risks. And fans? They're at a tipping point. If this keeps going the way it's going, if players keep being punished, if fans keep feeling gaslit, if Engelbert keeps pretending there's no fire when the house is literally filled with smoke, there's going to be a breaking point. And it's going to be ugly. The truth is, Cathy Engelbert can't ride this out forever. There's a limit to how much discontent you can ignore before it turns into revolt. And this is the beginning of a revolt. The league's credibility is already shaken. One more misstep, one more headline about a player getting fined for telling the truth, and the whole thing could come crashing down. And let's not pretend like the media isn't paying attention. This story is gaining traction. The narrative is shifting. Players aren't afraid anymore. They've stopped waiting for change and started demanding it. So if the WNBA wants to save itself, it's going to have to do more than slap on another marketing campaign. It's going to have to listen. It's going to have to apologize. And it's going to have to change. Or the league that finally had a shot at real mainstream success will implode before it ever truly arrived. Give Sophie Cunningham the Say It With Your Chest award. Because whether you love her or not, she said the quiet part out loud. She did what leadership wouldn't. And now she's at risk of paying the price for telling the truth. But maybe, just maybe, her fire is what finally forces the league to face the smoke. The WNBA is spiraling. And not because of its players, but because the people in charge are treating the league like a PR product instead of a professional sport. You don't have to squint to see it. The players are exhausted. The fans are fed up. The criticism isn't coming from fringe voices or Twitter trolls. It's coming straight from the heart of the league. The locker rooms, the benches, the veterans and rookies alike. And if you think this is just a Caitlin Clark thing, you're not paying attention. Clark may be the face of the current controversy, but she's just the latest case study in how deeply flawed this league's leadership has become. Yes, she's the biggest name in the sport right now. Yes, she's filling seats. Yes, she's a cash magnet. And still, she gets tossed around on the court like it's open season, while the league stands there and does absolutely nothing. The same league that touts growth and visibility as their North Star can't even protect its most visible player. And the worst part? When fans and players call out, they're met with stone-cold silence, or worse, punishment. The league seems to think that any critique is an attack, that calling out officiating is ungrateful, that asking for basic player protection is being divisive. But let's be clear, players like Sophie Cunningham aren't trying to tear down the league. They're trying to save it. Because this path the WNBA is on, it's not sustainable. You can only ignore accountability for so long. You can only treat officiating disasters like minor hiccups for so many seasons before it stops being frustrating and starts being dangerous. And the Cathy Engelbert silence strategy? That only works when people still trust you. Right now, that trust is gone. The players are organizing. The fans are mobilizing. And leadership? Leadership is hiding behind spreadsheets and media statements that say everything and nothing at the same time. How many times have we seen this cycle? A star player gets fouled hard. There's no call. The clip goes viral. Players tweet about it. The league issues a vague statement. Nothing changes. Over and over. Except now, the players are done being polite. Sophie Cunningham didn't just speak for herself. She blew the doors off the league's carefully managed image. She called the commissioner delusional and meant it. She called out the leadership for being more interested in optics than operations. And when Lexi Hull and others backed her up, that was the moment the league stopped being able to play this off as just one player's opinion. It's not just Sophie. It's everybody. What we're seeing now is the start of something the WNBA has never truly faced before: organized dissent from within. Not about salaries, not about branding, about integrity. And when you lose integrity, you lose everything. Look, this league has made progress. No one's denying that. But progress doesn't excuse arrogance. And that's what this is really about. A commissioner who's stopped listening. A leadership team that thinks criticism equals betrayal. It's not betrayal to demand better. It's not betrayal to want accountability. It's not betrayal to want to feel safe at your job. And let's stop pretending like these complaints are just emotional reactions. The players are not being dramatic. They're professionals. They're watching their teammates get hurt. They're watching refs miss obvious calls. They're watching the league gaslight them about how great everything is going. That kind of disconnect, it's not just frustrating. It's infuriating. The irony is thick. A league built on empowerment is now punishing players for using their voices. How is it that a player calling out poor officiating is considered a threat to the league's image, but inconsistent refs aren't? How is it that a commissioner can openly downplay the impact of Caitlin Clark, the most visible rookie in league history, but players get fined for defending each other? That's not leadership. That's control. And if the WNBA continues down this path, treating the athletes as liabilities instead of partners, it's going to backfire badly. Sponsors will start asking questions. The NBA, which has oversight, won't ignore mutiny forever. Rival leagues are already building infrastructure, and they're watching this chaos like hawks. Because when your own players are saying we don't feel heard, that's not a PR crisis. That's an existential one. Cathy Engelbert needs to make a choice. Right now, she can either come to the table, listen to her players, and admit that the league has problems that require reform, or she can keep pretending everything's fine and watch the foundation crumble beneath her. The players aren't going to stop speaking up. The fans aren't going to stop asking questions. And the longer leadership delays a real response, the more explosive this will become. We're past the point of damage control. We're at the point of reckoning. So drop a comment below. Do you think the league can recover from this? Should Sophie Cunningham be punished or protected? And is Cathy Engelbert the right person to lead the WNBA into the future? Or has she already lost that chance? Subscribe for the latest breakdowns of the wildest sports meltdowns, unfiltered player drama, and corporate chaos they really don't want you talking about. Because this story, it's still unfolding, and the next chapter is coming fast.